think we're ready. My name is Ken Purcell, and I'm the chairman of the Athletic Hall of Fame here at Santa Ana College. And I want to welcome all of you to the, we started, I think it's got 18 years ago. Yeah, we started this in 2003, not knowing where it's going to lead us. And thanks to a lot of you that have contributed, we've raised a lot of money for the athletic program, for our student scholarships, and also equipment around for the, we even painted the front of this building the first year. And we did the scoreboards, we've done uniforms, did the baseball scoreboard. If the athletic department needs something, they're not able to fund it, we step in and help. And again, it's only because of all the volunteers and the money that they've really played at the golf tournament that makes that happen. So if I can get all of the honorees to grab a seat here so they don't have to stand in order. This thing has been growing, and it's really kind of a pleasure to see a lot of the athletes come back and to be honored like they are. It's a tough process, and we haven't even touched what we're going to be able to do with the athletes in the future years to be honored for the activity they had here at Santa Ana College. So without further ado, I'd like to meet the interim president of Santa Ana College, Dr. Marilyn Flores.
Sorry about that. Welcome. I just want to let you know that I ordered the weather specifically for this wonderful event. So you're welcome. So thank you, Ken Purcell. As you know, he serves as the chairman for the Santa Ana College Athletic Hall of Fame. And there's a lot of work that he puts into doing this wonderful event. So I do want to give him a round of applause and thank him for all that he does. So welcome everyone to the Santa Ana College Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Congratulations to our 9 outstanding inductees who have made a significant impact on Santa Ana College athletic program. These athletes, or former athletes, represent some of the best when it comes to Santa Ana College athletics. And we're so happy to welcome you and your families back to our campus today as we celebrate you. That was you, by the way. I also want to recognize some special guests that are here tonight, and I'm looking around the room, but I know for sure we do have Trustee Zeke Hernandez from the Rancho Santiago Community College Board of Trustees. Whether it's on the field or in the classroom, the achievements of our students make us proud. And it's an honor to be here tonight, or today, to celebrate and continue celebrating these achievements. And now, I will be brief because we have a long program. I want to welcome you again. Thank you so much for being here for the Hall of Famers. And we really thank the families for showing up to celebrate this monumental event. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our Dean of Kinesiology and Athletics, Dr. Doug Manning, to continue with the program. Thank you so much and welcome.
All right, welcome. Believe it or not, I am the Dean of Kinesiology and Athletics with long pandemic hair and a suit that's a little too tight today. So thank you for coming. I want to say that we are influenced, inspired by those that came before us. 135 conference championships, 25 state championships, and 6 national championships. Thank you to Chancellor Martinez and the representatives from the district office, Dr. Flores and her cabinet, the SAC Athletic Hall of Fame, our SAC Foundation partners, our campus community, and the Rancho Santiago Board of Trustees. Most importantly, though, congratulations to our 2021 SAC Athletic Hall of Fame inductees. On Thursday, I was fortunate to attend the memorial service for Rayford Johnson on the UCLA campus, a place our athletic director, Mary Haggerty, a women's basketball legend, knows all too well. During the memorial, many impressive individuals spoke about Rayford Johnson, the 1960 Olympic decathlon gold medalist. He had an incredible number of athletic accomplishments both at UCLA and on the world stage. However, Ed Arnold can vouch for the fact that Rayford Johnson was an even better person than he was an athlete. Eddie and I knew Rayford Johnson through an organization called Special Olympics. Rayford and the Kennedy family started Special Olympics Southern California in 1969. Inspired by Rayford's life, I am not here today to tell you about the athletic accomplishments of our faculty, coaches, and classified staff. I will not tell you that Coach Pepe Vasquez, athletic trainer Winnie Vong, and athletic director Mary Haggerty were on campus for an 11 a.m. soccer match today versus Santiago Canyon College, our sister college in the district. I also won't tell you that we won 3-0. I will not tell you about the incredible behind-the-scenes work done by our sport information director, Cammie Lewis, SAC Maintenance and Operations, and the SAC Foundation. You can see it for yourself. I will not tell you that Anthony White's football team has now won 4 games in a row after defeating Citrus College 49-13 yesterday. I will not tell you that Troy Abbey's volleyball team recently defeated Riverside City College 3-2 in a come-from-behind victory. I will not tell you that Jamie Baccaro's soccer team defeated Orange Coast College 1-0. I will not tell you that teams led by Vince Silva Wrestling and Miriam Mitchell Cross Country have had impressive finishes at their recent meets, including a 2nd place in the ELAC Wrestling Brawl. I won't tell you that Dave Bragg and Flo Lapani, their teams are looking sharp in the recent scrimmages and their off-season tournaments. And I won't tell you that Tom Nillis had 75 student athletes in his off-season baseball class, and that he and Marissa Ross from softball have traveled all over Southern California for impressive off-season competitive opportunities. In the Division of Kinesiology and Athletics, we are inspired by our 2021 inductees and by the life of Rayford Johnson. He had a calming presence, he was humble, he was a true humanitarian, and he cared for others by leaving the people and places in better ways than in which he first encountered them. To that end, I will tell you about the faculty, coaches, and classified staff in our division. They are selfless, they are committed, they are passionate, they are caring, and they serve our student athletes 24/7, 365 days a year. They recruit, they coach, they lead, they advise, they care, and they are leaving Santa Ana College in a better place than they found it. At this time, I'd like to ask my faculty and classified colleagues from our division to stand and be recognized. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mary Haggerty and I'm the athletics director here at Santa Ana College. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here as we honor such a great class of high achievement, and I'm happy to tell you as an athletics update, and Doug alluded to this, we're thrilled to be back to competing again after 2 years off for our fall sports. So our fall sports are in full gear. Most of our teams compete in the Orange Empire Conference, and they're in the thick of conference competition. Our men's soccer team that Doug alluded to this morning beat SCC, and with that game today, that win, they're now within 1 point of first place in the OEC. A good win for them. And under the direction of our new head coach, Anthony White, our football team, as Doug said, has won 4 games in a row, including yesterday's game against Citrus, and we're in first place in our conference, well positioned for a potential bowl game at the end of the season. Our basketball teams will be getting going in November, and then those spring sports will be following soon after. So we're not quite business as usual. We still have COVID protocols and testing and masks and all those sorts of things, but it sure feels good to be back out there doing what we love to do. And I think all of us in athletics know that nothing great is ever achieved without teamwork and collaboration and partnerships, and this event is another great example of that. I want to acknowledge the Hall of Fame committee. especially the community members who their time at Santa Ana College ended, for some of them decades ago, for others maybe 10 years ago, but they volunteer and give selflessly of themselves to make sure that we continue to honor our tradition as well as raise money for scholarships for our current student athletes. I also want to thank the Santa Ana College Foundation for the tremendous partnership and collaboration that we have with them. They put on tremendous events, and this is another great example of that. And from the Santa Ana Foundation, Santa Ana College Foundation today, I'd like to introduce Jessica Hammond, representing the foundation.
So before I turn it over to Jessica, we do have another dignitary arriving. I want to recognize Rancho Santiago Community College Board of Trustees, Clerk, Trustee David Crockett, if you can please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say a quick welcome on behalf of the College of Office of College Advancement, the philanthropic arm of Santa Ana College. As I said, my name is Jessica Hammond, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight to honor and to celebrate our alumni who are being inducted into our Athletic Hall of Fame. We are proud to partner with the Kinesiology and Athletics Department to support this event tonight because our alumni matter. Their stories matter. These 9 inductees have left their mark on this college and its athletic programming, and we are proud to honor their accomplishments. I also want to take a moment to thank my foundation board of directors who are in attendance: Alberta Christie, Vice President Mark McLaughlin, and our Santa Ana College Foundation Board Chairman, who's also the Chairman of the Athletic Hall of Fame Committee, Ken Purcell. We could have another. As each of these board members will tell you, there are so many ways to get involved and support our current student athletes and programming. Many of our scholarships are started by Santa Ana College alumni who have gone on to do great things and have decided to give back. If you have attended Santa Ana College and you have walked this campus, I hope that you can be part of the special relationship that we have with our alumni and that you will stay in touch with your SAC family. Thank you, and I'm very happy to hand it off to one of our most esteemed alumni, Mr. Ed Arnold.
Thank you, Jessica. And folks, I want you to know just how important you are to this event. Not just you being here, but an opportunity for you to understand that if you would like to, you can take a more active role in both the foundation and the Athletic Hall of Fame, and the Alumni Hall of Fame for that matter. It's just a matter of, if you happen to have attended Santa Ana College, think about giving back. If you want to do it financially, that's great. But if you want to get involved like Ken and I have been, Ken graduated, what were you, 2022, about 100 years ago. Seriously, we were, in my particular case, Ken was here when I joined right out of the Marine Corps 60 years ago that I played football here, and it was it's been a great relationship since, because I met my wife here, and I think Ken was here about 2 years before I was. He was a basketball player. I played football, and I generally was a troublemaker. But what that is an invitation, though, for you to give back. And it's something that people are not going to press you on too much, but I will, because I see what Ken and I have gotten out of this ourselves. And for that, we're very grateful. We have a number of people that are making the presentations today that are honors. Some are in the Hall of Fame, some are not. A couple of them are going to be introducers are going to wind up in the Hall of Fame. But what I would like to do right now is ask for all of our current Hall of Fame members to stand and be recognized, if you would, please. Thank you very much. And if you ever have an opportunity to play golf with Ray Carrasco, you might want to pass, unless he's going to give you a few dozen strokes to go with. As for Nancy, if you ever want to play volleyball, I think she can still teach it at this particular point. Well, one of the introducers today is a guy that is no longer taking an active role. He decided he'd retire, but he'll be coming up in a few minutes. And I'm not going to individually single out all, but I'm going to, because Coach Don Snedden this year is in the class of 2021 of the American Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame, and that joins already the California Community College Hall of Fame and the Santa Ana College Athletic Hall of Fame. So how about a nice round of applause for Coach Don Snedden. And when I walk off of here, you'll probably swing at me, but that's okay. The first honoree is going to be introduced by his coach. He's a young guy that is a player here, went on to become the head football coach, and I think he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. They call him Jonesy, but it's Coach. No, we're going to wait and let's do you second. We're going to get one ahead of it. He is a Hall of Famer of 2015 as well, and he is a pretty nice guy, but he's older. That's Coach Dave Ogas.
Thank you, Ed. What a privilege to be introduced by a man like Ed Arnold. I mean, grew up on him on TV and all that kind of stuff, and he is an amazing, amazing man to be around and to work with in our College Hall of Fame, and it's a privilege. Speaking of privileges, it is my tremendous privilege to be able to introduce this young man and to present him, and I'm not going to, you can read all the accolades. But I do want to start out by just mentioning that, when he was being recruited here to Santa Ana College, I'm talking about Simon Quintus. I'll never forget the day that my assistant coach and my right-hand man, Tom Shine, who we just lost a couple of weeks ago. And if it weren't for Tom Shine, I think Simon would agree that he may not be here. And Tom's a great man, a great father, great coach, and an unbelievably good friend. And I just want to mention him right now and tell him how much we're going to miss him. But I'll never forget the day that Tom came into the office, and he had been over to Garden Grove High School recruiting, and we were getting the program going pretty good. And he came in and says, "Hey, Dave, I saw this guy over at Garden Grove," and he says he's 5'10", he's not real tall, but he says he's a hell of an athlete. And he said he's a team guy, and his coaches were all, excited about him. And, we didn't know Simon. So, but anyway, that year, Simon got hurt his senior year at Garden Grove High School, and came over the next year. And I remember he kind of a little bit forgot about it, but, things move on. And then later on in the next semester, he came by and visited, came by the football office, and we would say, "Oh, yeah, Simon's here." So he came by, and Tom said, "Hey, this guy is going to be our quarterback." And lo and behold, he was an amazing quarterback. And not only that, I think what's special about him and why he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame is he's an amazing young man, he's an amazing leader, and he's an amazing teammate. And when you put all those things together, and now as he's moved on in life, he's an amazing father, an amazing husband, and all these other things that I think are very, very meaningful. And I just want to tell Simon, it was just a great privilege to be around you, to be the way you worked with our team, the way you brought our team together. The one thing, and I'll be brief here, that stands out was our game, 1994, I think it was, starting quarterback against Long Beach City College. And we were going against Long Beach City. It was a team that had a lot of Long Beach Poly kids on it and a lot of speed. And they said, Santa didn't have much of a chance. Well, we won that game. I think it was 42-14, something like that. And I'll never forget the play that happened just before half, where Simon throws a touchdown pass to Hector Flores from Villa Park High School, and they streaked down right in front of our bench, and we just burned him for the touchdown. And it happened right in front of our bench. Well, the DB that got beat, I don't even remember the kid's name, but he was Long Beach, and he ended up being a D1 guy. Well, he went over to the drinking fountain right in front of the locker room, and it's on film, and he just goes over and got beat for 6 points, went over, took a drink out of the fountain, and and then came back and patted Simon on the butt and went back to the huddle. But we ended up winning that game, and it was really one of those memories. That whole team, and we're always sitting out in the stands right now, or in the community here, and that team was just a team that, because of Simon, came together as a team, and not only on the field but off the field. They were really good friends, and you could tell the way they worked, their work ethic, And Simon, it's my privilege to present you as the new 21 class of the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Coach Ogos, for that introduction, and congratulations to my fellow inductees of the 2021 Hall of Fame class. Thank you, Jeff Jones and Dave Ogos, for my nomination, and to the Hall of Fame committee for my selection. I'm fortunate to have the opportunity today to publicly recognize my influential coaches, former teammates, and supportive family. I feel blessed to have had first-class individuals coaching me during my career. I want to thank my high school coaches who are here in attendance for the time they spent developing my skills, building my confidence, and creating a positive atmosphere at Garden Grove High School. Coach Gene Lance, thank you for taking the time to take a group of us on Saturdays to watch the Dons play to University of Laverne for campus visits. Thank you, Coach John Silva, for demonstrating leadership and patience. I always felt comfortable and secure in my assignment when I played for you, when you were my coach. Coach Steve Howler was my first individual quarterback position coach in high school. Thank you for improving my skills, more importantly for the conversations we've had, and the conversations about JC football and the impact it had on your life. To my SAC coaching staff, Benny Rapp, Joe Jacobs, Dick Gorey, Don Abbott, Tom Shine, and Coach Ogos. Coach Ogos, thank you for running a tight ship. We were always prepared. You preach punctuality, hard work, and sportsmanship, and I thank you for that. Our 93 and 94 teams, like I said, we were a game plan ready athletically, and more importantly, academically, we were ready to receive scholarships, which many of us did across the country, and we represented Santa Ana College very well. Tom Shine, he was my quarterback coach.
Time, kid.
No, you're good. And offensive coordinator. He had a profound impact on my playing and professional career. He was a good teacher, coach, and leader. I was with him 5 days a week in the off season and 6 days during the season. I hung on his every word, in quarterback meetings and in practice. And I try to apply his instruction on the field. So pre-game, he told me he was going to look down on me if he didn't make this event, so I'm good. Pre-game, we'd always give me a hug and say, I love you, and go get him. And then he'd go up to the coach's booth and call the game. And I remember that preseason routine, and then pre-game routine, and then during the game on the headsets, he'd be in my ear, and he was calm and deliberate with his message, his coaching points. And then after the game, which we won a lot of games in 1994, there was always a big smile and a big hug, and we did it, and that was. And I like to believe, Coach, that you guys had a great time celebrating wherever you guys celebrated at after those games. But Coach Shine, I love you dearly and I miss you. The biggest thanks is for my favorite coach and my mentor, a leader, a man who grew up down the street, just a few streets up, my father, Fred Fuentes. The positive examples of teaching, coaching, and fatherhood that were displayed at Garden Grove High School, displayed here, were echoed the lessons that I learned in my house growing up. Dad, thank you for the pregame motivational notes you left me on the counter before I went to the games. Thank you for the countless hours you spent coaching me and flying to Richmond, Kentucky for every one of my home games. You guys hear me out there? For every one of my home games at EKU. You're my biggest fan. And I cannot thank you enough. To my SAC teammates for whom I accept this award, this honor today. It was so easy playing quarterback in 1994. We had an athletic offensive line. Talented, big, strong offensive line. We had dynamic running backs, Ernie Wilson, Ace Riggins, bruisers like Kevin Pola and Brian Diaz. And then it was exciting to talented receivers, explosive receivers like Hector Flores, Roy Mendoza, John Daniels, and giant tight ends like Casey Shine and Chad Flick. Our 1994 championship team was tough to beat and exciting to watch. So thank you for that memorable season, boys. An enormous thank you to my loving and supportive family, Mom and Dad, for attending every one of my games and being my biggest supporters. My wife, Michelle, who has been by my side every step of the way. As my girlfriend back when I was playing, my wife as a coach here. We celebrated big wins and suffered some tough losses. To my beautiful daughters, Sarah and Serena, for sharing me with the players and the teams that I coached here. Thank you for that. Thank you to Aunt Sylvia and Uncle David for always being there. You're here today. You're at my T-ball games, and I can always count on you for your support. Our brother Saul for your continued support, who I coached here in 04 and 05. My sister-in-laws, my brother-in-laws, for supporting Don's football and always showing interest in my career. My most cherished moments here at Santa Ana College for my playing days was my family after the games, seeing all my family after the games on the field at the ball, seeing my grandma Connie, seeing my future in-laws at the time, Terry and John. And I'm like, just a big baby crying up here. But it was just important, and I cherish that now as I'm older. And he would always bring a couple of the Santa Ana PD buddies and colleagues to watch the games, and it was just a big deal. It was very special to me. And so thank you for that support. For their extended uncles and cousins who are here today, thank you for showing up and supporting me. I've come full circle from wondering why in the heck is Tom Shine calling me back in 93 to play football, to being inducted here into the SAC Athletic Hall of Fame. So thank you to my coaches, teammates, family, and Santa Ana College for the special honor. Thank you. It's an honor. It truly is an honor. When I think about this award in the Hall of Fame, I think about my coaches, the men that coached me, Dave Ogas and Tom Shine and, Benny Rapp, Dick Gorey, just those professional men that had such an impact on my life and never thought about, making the Hall of Fame. And through my, playing and coaching here, I met the credentials and I was nominated, and it truly is an honor because I respect those men, I respect the program, I respect the institution, and so it feels good to be part of the family. Student athletes, you're making the right decision. You're involved in athletics. You have a set of eyes in your coaching staff, our counselors that are there to direct you. Just follow the formula. Just do it. Just go to class. Just follow that. Don't make it more difficult than it has to be. Just do what they say, and you're going to scholarship out. You're going to continue your playing career if that's what you want, or your education. So that's my advice. Just follow. It's laid out for you. Just don't get in your own way.
Congratulations and welcome to the Santa Ana College Athletic Hall of Fame, Simon. I was about to talk so glowingly about Jonesy, and then looked down and said, no, Ogie had the first shot. So to introduce our next inductee, this time it is a former player from Santa Ana College who went on to Chapman and came over here and has done a great job in the athletic department and did a great job as a head coach. Please welcome Coach Jeff Jones.
I was Simon's teammate in '92. That threw me for a loop over there for a little bit, but we'll get it back here. Congratulations to Coach Fuentes. When I got hired as the head coach, he was the first guy that I called. I'm like, man, I want you to come over here and be my quarterback's coach. We're teammates. Same philosophies that Tom Shine had, and just a wonderful guy to have around. Outstanding recruiter. He would make the Hall of Fame as a coach someday or as a contributor. He'll have probably 3 or 4 guys that he recruited in the Hall of Fame. But this one's mine. I recruited this one. 2004, I was recruiting a good buddy of the family, Kenny Lusk. So I went to the Canyon El Dorado game, and I see this kid out there flying around. So this is the first time I get to meet David. I feel like I've met David twice, right? So the first time I meet him, El Dorado it's at El Dorado, and you hear his name constantly. He's tackling, running, kicking. He's doing everything. So all I hear is Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. I'm like, man, I'm here to watch Les, but this is a guy. This is the best guy on the field constantly. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to play. He was really into driving the Zamboni machine, right? That was the goal, right? So I talked him into it. I'm like, I think I have a better plan for you than driving the Zamboni machine off the 91 at the ice rink, right? I think I have a play. And finally talked him into it. And then I got to meet the real MVP behind the scenes. As coaches, we all help, especially a freshman, we help them with their classes, tell them what to take. So I got David in, and I said, hey, man, let's set up your classes. He's like, oh, no. My mom's a teacher. It's all set up for me. So Diane Waverham, this is a big deal as a teacher. David passed 51 units in 1 year. 51. Dr. Flores, you hear that one? 1 year, right? So that's probably the exact same amount as me and Purcell and Arnold put together in our first years at Santa Ana College. 51. Just so you guys know, you only need 24 to be eligible for the next year, right? We needed 51, and it was amazing. So years later, I actually made a chart of this. If you want to get a scholarship, this is what you got to do. And I just stared at David in all aspects: attitude, academics, athleticism, and that's how you get a scholarship. So ever since then, there's a giant board in the locker room and in the office. So you want a scholarship? That's what you do. I hung his grade check on the wall for 15 years probably. To say, and it said, remember you signed it, had a big thing to say, Dons, go to class. Go to class. And it was A's up and down it, and it was unbelievable. Second time I met David. First game, he's a kicker. He's doing lots of things for us. Kick just goes sailing into the bushes at Santa Ana Bowl. And again, Bueller kicks it in the end zone. And then I hear from the stands, it's Bueller, not Bueller. It's Bueller. I think was it Jen? Was it you? Right. It was. I very rarely hear things come out of the stands, but I heard that one. He comes right at me. I'm like, is that right, Dave? Like, yeah, that's Bueller. Happens all the time. Sorry, Coach. So that feels like the second time now I've met him. And now I know what I have. Right? I've got the best player on the field. I mean, I got the guy that plays with passion. My problem was he's backing up the sophomore captain of our defense. So I went and had a staff meeting with the defense and said, you guys better play him more or I'm going to move him to offense. And so they shuffled the deck and got him in a little bit more. And then the day happened. Week one, at the end of every practice, I mean, literally when I say, hey, guys, go home, there's skid marks leaving everywhere. Guys are running. Practice is over. We're done. But everybody kind of hung on the field this day. So I walked off. I grabbed Casey Shine. I'm like, sit down for a second. I want to see what's going on here. And he was out there racing all of our defensive backs. 225, 230, big old linebacker, stud kid, and he's bull racing everybody by 10 yards. So I look at Casey Shine. I'm like, we need to get him the football. I don't care if he's playing defense. We knew he was a great all-purpose type guy, but we're going to give him the ball. Okay. Just for example, yesterday, anyone watched the Oregon-UCLA game, they had a kid yesterday that scored 4 straight touchdowns on four straight carries. That's an NCAA record. David scored touchdowns on his first 6 touches in college. First 6, like all of them. When we got to the 6th one, we're playing at Pasadena City College. We're at the 50-yard line. It's 4th and 2, so we're just going to give it to him and get the first down. I figure that the touchdown streak is over. Boom, 50 yards for a touchdown. That was the 6th one. In that game, he almost scored on special teams on a block punt, almost scored on a pick. He was everywhere. There was one play inside that game that wasn't a huge play that ended up being a really cool play for us later. I'll get to that one. Just seeing him makes him All-American as as an all-purpose type guy doing all the things that he does. Then recruiting starts happening. Mike Riley from Oregon State comes in. Hey, Coach, I want him to come play for us. And what do you want him to play? Defense? And he said, doesn't matter. We just want the athlete. Okay. Pete Carroll comes in. Pete Carroll. This is 2006 now in the spring. So that's the good SC team. Not the SC team you saw yesterday or the SC team we've seen the last couple of years. This is the good one. right? So Pete Carroll, when he comes into his office, you guys seen him on TV, he's constantly moving around, and when he comes into my office to recruit, there was a volleyball always laying around, so he would just kind of flick it to himself, right? So I made a highlight film of David. I'm showing him all the stuff. Here he's running touchdowns, here he's making tackles, and then we started seeing the kickoffs, and he's like, oh yeah, this guy's unbelievable. While he's setting, in that Pasadena game, there was a penalty. So David's kicking off from the 50 instead of the 35 like normal, okay? So as he's setting it to himself, and he looks down at the screen and sees the ball sailing through the uprights. So if anyone's ever seen a kickoff go through the uprights, it doesn't happen. It never happens, right? So he's like, oh yeah, that's my guy. That's the guy that I want. So recruiting was super fun. LSU called the next day and said, hey, we want to offer him. I said, what do you want him to play? I said, I don't know. If USC wants him, we want him too. So all of a sudden, this legend is growing of this brilliant kid, right? Obviously, he goes to USC. He's going to tell you a little bit about that, and then gets to go to the Dallas Cowboys. But when I was coaching in a bowl game in Glendale, 2006. And this is kind of like the last gift that David gave to me. We played pretty well. We lost by a couple points. We couldn't kick a field goal. My kicker was standing on the goalpost. We just couldn't do it. And we lost by a couple, and I'm feeling down. And I hear someone screaming from the stands, hey, Jonesy, David Beeler just kicked a 49-yard field goal to help beat Cal. And I'm thinking, that's why we're here. We would have been a way better team if he was with us as a sophomore. We've talked about it a million times. But that's the goal, and that's the goal of all of our programs, is to help these guys move on. And this one moves into the center of the college football universe. Great person, awesome friend, and couldn't be prouder of him. Everyone, this is David Beeler.
How's it going? Thank you so much for those kind words, Coach. It's an awesome feeling to have somebody say that, especially you respect so much, say some great things about you. Coach Jones has played a huge part in shaping me the man I am today. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, Coach, and I hope to be at your induction ceremony when you ultimately get selected in the Hall of Fame in the very near future. I want to thank the Hall of Fame selection committee and everybody had a hand in helping me become enshrined in the Santa Ana College Athletic Hall of Fame. I'm truly honored and truly grateful for this recognition. I will forever be recognized as a Don. I'm humbled to be mentioned among some of the very best and very brightest that walk through the doors at Santa Ana. I also want to thank and congratulate my fellow 2021 Hall of Fame classmates on their induction today. No matter what years you were at Santa Ana College or what sport you contributed in while here, we all had a common goal: make everybody at Santa before and after us proud to be a Don and to kick the crap out of Fullerton. Back in the day, when I was coming out of high school, I had a couple Division II scholarships interested in me, but I knew full well I could play at the D1 level. I went to Canyon High School in Annam Hills, and I'll just say this, we weren't really known for being a football powerhouse back in the day. I think it's changed a little bit today, but I didn't have much of the exposure to get to a D1 school. I ended up choosing to come to Santa Ana College 16 years ago, had no clue what to expect when coming here. I was utterly shocked and pleasantly surprised at the level of competition and coaching at the junior college level. I was teammates with the very best of the best that I played with and against in high school. It was virtually a high school all-star team playing here at Santa Ana. I can truly say that my 1 year at Santa Ana College was one of the best years of my entire life, also probably the most fun I've ever had playing football. I got a lot of interest from D1 schools and had full ride scholarship offers to about 10 different colleges, but I ultimately decided to follow my father's footsteps and attend USC. Pete Carroll gave me my scholarship to be a strong safety, but I ultimately knew that I had the best shot of making the NFL as a kicker. So I finally finished the last 2 years of my college career as USC starting kicker. I was beyond fortunate enough to be the first kicker drafted in the 2009 NFL draft. I was taken in the 5th round, the number 172nd overall pick to the Dallas Cowboys. I played for the Cowboys for 3 years and spent the 2013 offseason with the New York Giants. I can truly say I lived the dream. I was blessed with having the best of the best coaches throughout all my levels of football. Jeff Jones at Santa Ana, Pete Carroll at USC, Wade Phillips and Jason Garrett with the Cowboys, and Tom Coughlin with the Giants. I was able to learn so many lessons in football that translate into life lessons that will carry on forever. There's no substitute for hard work. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Be the best version of yourself today. Hard work and perseverance truly pays off. Too many to count, but my personal favorite is the go one for one philosophy. See your next chance on whatever you're doing as an opportunity. No matter if you succeeded or failed on your task before, you have an opportunity to succeed on the next one. This philosophy really helped me with being an NFL kicker, and probably can help some of you guys out shave a few strokes off your golf game as well. And lastly, I want to give a huge shout out to my entire family for the immense support you have given me throughout not only my playing career, but my entire life. To my older sisters, Jennifer and Kelly, and to my older brother, Andrew, thank you. But I have to thank my parents more than anybody. John and Diane were always the most supportive and encouraging influencers throughout my football career. They never missed a high school game, never missed a junior college game, only missed one game at USC, and went to about 75% of my professional games. The money and the time devoted to watching me do what I love in person can never be expressed how meaningful it was to me. Thank you. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you guys listening to me. Go Cowboys, fight on. Dons win. Thank you.
It feels awesome. Like, honestly, growing up, I never thought I'd be in the Hall of Fame of anything, so, and especially a place, I was here for a year, and honestly, it was one of the greatest experience I've had. I played at the D1 college level. I played with the Cowboys for 3 years. I think my most fun year of playing football was here at Santa Ana. It was just a great time. Met a lot of lifelong friends, great coaches that are friends as well. So I had a blast here. One piece of advice, I like the saying, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and you're in control of what the output you put in, and the work ethic, the mood, the mindset, everything like that is something you control, and your effort, if you end up losing, the game, as long as you tried your hardest, and you learn from the game and come back and do better in the next game, that's what you got to do.
Congratulations, David. Anthony White, would you be kind enough to raise your hand? This is our current head football coach. Years ago, when I got to know a little bit more about him when he was coaching high school at Boynton Park, at a mayor's prayer breakfast when he brought his entire squad to a prayer breakfast, something that most coaches kind of hesitant to do, but showed me something then, and then when they went out and wound up going into postseason, that really thrilled me because they were in the playoffs. I said all these nice things about Don Sneddon a while ago, so I'm going to let that set for itself, except to tell you he's one of the greatest baseball coaches ever, and he still has the record for victories in the state of California in community college baseball, and that is something in itself. So for our next introduction, please welcome Coach Don Sneddon.
What a great venue, just sitting here and seeing all you people here. This started as a dream many, many, many years ago, but it was started because we needed to honor our athletes, which you see here and you feel the emotion. You only get that out of athletics. You don't get that not knocking a chemistry class or a math class and that. The people here are attached to this college, and they're attached here because of the coaches, but also for what they've done. So it's so awesome to see here. Tonight I get to introduce a former player of mine, Conrad Colby. Conrad came from Estancia High School, which is in the backyard of Orange Coast College. had a good program at that time. There was legalities as far as how you could recruit players with that, and it was tough to recruit against OCC and bring somebody from that section over here to Santa Ana College. Somehow we won that war. I'm not sure how. He hasn't quite told me that, but I know the coach over there was extremely upset. So bad for him and good for us, because I became a much better player when he came, a coach when he came here, that's for sure. And we became a much better team. This guy came over here as an all-CIF player, as a senior, when he was at Estancia. He was a man of very few words. I didn't know if he'd be a team leader, but he led by example. He came here, and it wasn't a one-year thing. He came here and he did it both years, where he was came out and was all conference both years. He was all Southern Cal both years, and he was all state both years, which is extremely difficult to do when you figure there's 65 or 85 other community colleges to be able to do that, but back to back. Both times he did that, he batted over 400, which for baseball people is phenomenal to do something like that. He led with us. He ended up with career records at that time for at-bats and runs scored and doubles. He was drafted in 1989 for the professional baseball draft and decided not to sign. He went on to Texas A&M, where he continued and won the MVP Triple Crown, first team all-regional, and then finished up with that, and then continued, which is what I'm proud of most with a lot of our players. He continued on in education, got his degree, and he's out there educating the youth of America over at Kennedy High School and turning players around and making an impact with that. So I know that his teammates, they can't all be here, but he had some good teammates. We had players that went to Fullerton, UCLA, Long Beach State, Pepperdine, Brigham Young. Total of 10 scholarship winners on a team of 20-plus players. So he had good support, but the reason we did well was through his leadership. So I'm very, very happy to introduce to you Conrad Colby.
I suppose I got some questions to fill in the blanks that Coach set me up on there. But first, Coach, thanks for introducing me. That's great, some kind words. I appreciate it. And congratulations to you on the National Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame. Long overdue. So why don't I start with this? Coach kind of walked me into why in the heck did I end up coming here. The best decision of my life for me, honestly. Couldn't have been a better fit. The players he mentioned, obviously Coach Sneddon and Coach Paco, who I see in the background over there. The whole cast of characters that were here was just a great fit for me. It certainly did lead to some issues with the other coaches over there, but how that really played out was, I did not have very good grades in school. I was a terrible student. I was at school for other things, right? So as I started making the circuit to be recruited to play at junior college, almost every coach in the Empire League, Orange Empire Conference would say, you come here, you'll start. You'll bat third, you'll do whatever. I come here, I meet Coach Sneddon with my mom, who's with me today, fantastic. And Coach Sneddon says, I'll give you an opportunity. I'm not going to guarantee anything. I was like, okay. So I kind of took that as a personal challenge, so to be very honest. So I'm going to prove this guy what I can do. So, but again, a great decision for me. It worked out fantastic. I wouldn't have done it any other way. If I could do it again, I would do it again. I'm doing a share some thank yous today. Sorry, I'm going through my notes on my phone. I'm not texting anyone. I want to share too, this is the second Hall of Fame that I've been a part of. Some of you might know the old Daily Pilot, kind of a local newspaper back in the day, selected their Hall of Fame. Much different event, obviously. Theirs was at the Ritz-Carlton in Newport Beach, and I think I was introduced by Mike Soch. No, I'm kidding. That was not true at all. Just kidding. This is fantastic. I was just joking. But I want to say thank you to all of you guys being here today for sharing what certainly is a special moment for me and all of my fellow inductees. Congratulations to everybody. I want to thank the Santa Ana College Athletics Hall of Fame committee members that have allowed me to be a part of this. It's a special moment for sure. A couple people that were a part of this whole process along the way early on. Pop, I alluded to earlier, Don Popovich is the one that called me back in, I think, July or August. And he said, hey, congratulations, you're going to Santa Ana College Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame. And I said, come on, Pop, it's not even close to April Fool's. You gotta be kidding me. So he's like, no, seriously, this is happening. I'm like, fantastic. Mary Hegarty, who sent me the email, congratulations. Certainly Coach Snedden, Cammie Lewis, Sports Information Director, and everyone that reached out and was part of it and kind of coached me through what was going to happen. So it was a fantastic way to go about it. You guys did a great job, so I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm truly fortunate to be selected. I wasn't sure how to go about today. I mean, I could go on and on talking about my experiences here at Santa Ana College, but I really thought it would be an injustice to, there's so many people that are part of it along the way. So I wanted to go way back a little bit. My very first baseball coach, I don't know his last name, but it was just Coach Bob. And Coach Bob had this just infectious personality. And he made us love the game. He was just that kind of guy. I don't know how much coaching was going on, because we're talking like T-ball, S-ball stuff, but he certainly instilled a love for the game. And he's the one that really kind of got me going. And I do have to credit him with the fact that he's the one that figured out I was left-handed. So when I showed up to Little League, my parents bought me a right-handed glove, because most of you are right-handed, right? And I think the telltale sign, as I recall it, was I would catch the ball with the right-handed glove, immediately drop the glove, pick the ball up, and then chuck it. So we kind of figured it out early on, so thanks for Coach Bob. Obviously a huge breakthrough. At the same time, my dreams of playing shortstop for the Yankees were cut short at 6 years old, so kind of a disappointment there. My high school coaches, excuse me, both of them passed away about several years ago, but obviously a huge impact on me. They were probably a little bit harder on me than they needed to be, but it worked out for the better. Because I wanted to do this stuff anyways. I wanted to do the running, I wanted to do the hitting, I wanted to do the fielding. But they were certainly an instrumental part of my being here today. The work ethic that they instilled just has stayed with me all through life. Also, had a great summer after my senior year. I had a chance to play Connie Mack when Connie Mack was like legitimate, right? Some of you remember that probably. Played for Randy Vanderhook and Dave Demarest. Learned more from those two gentlemen in one summer than probably 4 years of high school, to be very honest. They certainly set me up to have success here at Santa Ana College and playing for Coach Snedden. But again, while at Santa Ana, I can't say enough good things and how eye-opening it was, because when I came here, I thought I knew baseball. He mentioned some of the accolades I got in high school, and I thought I knew everything. Well, I wasn't even close. It was very eye-opening to learn and know the things I didn't know. So it was a great experience, and again, set me up for success to move on at the next level when I went to Texas A&M. So I wanted to make sure that I recognized all of these people that were a part of the process with me. And again, thanks to all my inductees. Thank you to the Santa Ana College Hall of Fame committee for selecting me. I still don't know who exactly the person was that selected me. So Mom, thanks for writing all those letters. I think it worked. Right. Thanks again very much. Thanks for being here.
An incredible honor. Happy to be a part of it. Happy to be solidified in the Don family for history now, right? But yeah, what a great moment. Happy to be a part of it. Do a good job in the classroom. Don't close doors like I did and do a poor job in the classroom. So my advice is try to find the right balance and do all of those things. And I hope I've instilled that in some of my former players, and they've gone on and had some success. So that's the one thing I would say.
Conrad will give it away. It was your coach. Congratulations and welcome to the Santa Ana College Athletic Hall of Fame. The next introduction will be done by his basketball coach at the time, Coach Ray Rodriguez. Well, I hope you can bear with
with me, I'm a little more nervous about this than our state championship with Coach Padgett or Zach's team in the regional finals. But I will try to do my best. Before I introduce Zach, I would like to take a moment to thank Dana Padgett, who I was lucky enough to be an assistant with, and the athletic administration of the 90s. I was here 14 years and enjoyed my time here and really appreciated the opportunity that was given to me. Now the reason I'm here is to introduce Zach Frey into the Hall of Fame. I remember the first time that I saw Zach play. He came to an open gym to work out, and he did some things and ran the floor, and jumped and leaped, and I said to my assistant, "Wow." Yeah, I didn't know of him. He just showed up with AAU coach Kevin Hagan, and I told my assistant, "We can't let this guy get away." No way. He's going to be a major part of our program. Those of you who saw Bill Walton play in high school, that's who Zach reminded me of. He would get a rebound at the defensive end, throw an outlet pass, catch the next pass, and dunk the ball before half the players got down the floor. He was like a thoroughbred horse the way he ran the floor, and I don't know what to say about his jumping. It was definitely better than a frog, so probably some type of kangaroo. I did think we had a great chance to get Zach after that visit, because talking to him, and I know I wouldn't have done it, he gets on 2 buses from, oh man, I'm going to be in trouble, I'll lose my notes. He got on 2 buses and a train to come and work out here. So like I told my assistant, man, we can't lose him. And then I thought to myself, I think we have a genuine chance to get Zach. So my typical way was, as soon as we're done in the gym, I'd take him over to the office and show him all of the players that were all state and try to lure him with that. But thankful we did get Zach. Zach, I'm not going to read a lot of his stats that are in the program, but Zach was kind of the player that when you brought recruits in, they all just gravitated to Zach because they wanted to play with him because of the way he played so hard and was so unselfish. And I kind of wish I had more Zachs at further years, because we definitely had a great team when Zach was here. Zach left Santa Ana, signed with West Virginia Tech, decided not to go way back to West Virginia, was going to go to the Masters, and they sent him to the Miami Heat. And Zach played in the D-League in the NBA, and then he went overseas and played there. Zach probably could have been a Division I player, except he went to one class, which I think is a poor rule, but he went to one class at West LA before he decided to come over here and visit, and he lost a year of Division I eligibility. And he also had to sit out a year here. And then I'm thinking to myself, boy, he's coming from West Los Angeles, he's going to come here, he has to sit out a whole year, but Zach showed his true character and lived up to his commitment to be a member of our Dons. Zach right now is married to Crystal and has 3 beautiful daughters, is in property management in Beverly Hills and doing very well, and should make all of us in Santa Ana proud of him. I'm not going to bring him up here yet, but I do want him to stand. How many of you have recognized Zach on TV? Mom and wife. Zach is. No, you know who that. What do they call it? Yeah.
Oh, I was body double.
A body double for Kobe Bryant. Huh? If you kind of look at the sides, he could definitely play that part. And also with LeBron James, some of you know who he is, I believe. So anyway, he has had quite a career, and can't say enough about his personality, about his great teammate, and please read the stats in the program because you'll see that he definitely deserves to be part of the Hall of Fame here. So it's my pleasure to introduce Zach Frey.
Don't worry, I'm going to keep it quick. I want to congratulate all the honorees. I want to thank you to the board for having me here. I'm winging it, so it was an honor to represent the school. It was a 3-hour commute here each way. I did that for about 3 months before they told me I was ineligible. And then I went back home, and then I had to figure out if I wanted to come back and do it again. And luckily, my teammates were like, no, you don't have to do that anymore, we'll drive you. And so I did that the first year. Second year, with the help of my mom, I moved out here, so I didn't have any more stress, and then I was able to play freely. It was an honor to play here. It was an honor to represent Santa Ana. Y'all took me in when nobody else wanted me, so for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach Padgett. You kept me in line, made sure I went to class every day. You were on top of me. You and Coach Byers, they let me come. I worked this parking lot to pay my rent. So it was an honor, and I got the whole college experience. So I'm forever grateful. That's it. Thank you. Means everything. It's an honor. It's my body of work. It's what I didn't come here to get it, but it shows that I left a mark here, and I'm forever grateful, and I'm honored to represent the school. This is like one of my best trophies ever. And I got a lot here, but this one means something. It's forever. So. For student athletes, the time management, it's real. Focus on your craft while you're here, and all the rest, the partying, the nightlife, all that, that'll take care of itself. But whatever you're here for, make sure you do that first. School, the sport, and then the partying.
Congratulations, Zach, and thank you very much, Coach Rodriguez. Once again, to make an introduction, one of the many great players. He's coach here at Santa Ana College, Coach Don Sned.
You know, they say as you get older, you lose a lot of your short-term memory, and it seems like I was just here like 5 minutes ago. I'm not sure. What? Okay, well, I know it was Conrad, and I thought maybe I was a basketball coach, and I got screwed up, and it's Conrad Colby. So I'm pretty well screwed up, except for the guy that I'm going to introduce next to you. Richard Gonzalez was a guy that we luckily got out at Diamond Bar High School. He made that recruit, not quite as far as what we had to do right before this, but it was a large, being on that 57 freeway and making the commute down here to Santa Ana College, and we were very happy that he did. He came in as a pitcher. He was out of high school. He was a quarterback. He went to Oregon State. That tells you what kind of athlete he was. He was an all-CIF champs in football and in baseball. Went to Oregon State, left that, and came back here to Santa Ana College, which, again, he'll have to tell you how that happened. He came in as a pitcher, and he pitched 36 innings for us, which was great. He had 4 saves. He was 1-1. He also was a hitter. He was that dual guy type of guy that could do both. Like, I think there's a guy named Otani or something that plays at the Angels or something like that, does 2 of those things. Well, he started that. He was the responsible one for that. So he did a great job with that. But then he came back to us the next year and just pitched a couple innings, but he decided to pick up the bat because one of my assistant coaches, Bill Springman, worked with him. So all he did was he had to follow a team that had probably the best offensive team I had in the history of this college. The guy that hit in front of him was a guy named Bob Hamlin, who was the first person inducted in this Hall of Fame in the big leagues and still owns about every record in community college baseball. So to keep them and allowing him to get pitches and letting him to hit, we put Rich behind him in the batting order. So they just wouldn't keep walking him and doing everything else, even though they did walk him quite a bit. Rich was that guy. And Bob Hamlin would almost wipe the bases clean because there wasn't a lot of opportunities for RBIs, but he still managed to do that. He had 60 RBIs, and remind you, we play only in 50 games. So that's an RBI a game type thing. 57 runs, 207 at-bats type thing. He made first team All-Orange Empire. He made first team All-Southern Cal, and he made first team All-State. He had an opportunity to sign and didn't do that, so he decided to continue on to go to Cal State Fullerton, where he played in the 1990 World Series for Cal State Fullerton. He also had another opportunity to sign professionally, and this time he took it with the St. Louis Cardinals and played a couple years before coming back and coaching at his alma mater, where he's the longest tenured baseball coach there at Diamond Bar High School. In 2013, he was inducted into San Gabriel Valley Coaches Hall of Fame, and currently is a counselor at Diamond Bar High School. Again, you're proud of your players that they're successful in life and not just on the playing field. And Rich is a great example of that. Rich Gonzalez.
Yeah, it was a wild ride to get to Santa Ana College from where I was in Corvallis, Oregon. In fact, I was driving down the freeway today, coming off the 57. In fact, trying to explain to my wife the commute that I made from Diamond Bar to Santa Ana. And I think the first time I met Don Snedden, I traveled about an hour on the 57 coming down and just was shaking my head like, what am I doing right now? But it all worked out for us, and so I'm fortunate for that. I just want to thank Santa Ana College for allowing me to be up here, and also for Santa Ana baseball for being a pivotal part in my life. There was a time in my life I had to make some changes from football to baseball, and it was a seamless change with the great coaches that I had in front of me. I'm up here because of the support of my team, meaning my family growing up. My dad dragged me out to tryouts at 8 years old. Didn't want to go, and loved the game ever since. My parents are unfortunately unable to make it today, but I know they're listening. My sister's, who's in the stand, she's great. She used to throw BP to me out in the front yard. She's got a little cutter with late movement, but she was definitely a vital part of my life, and she definitely is. She has my back, 100%. I'm glad her husband's here. Nick Baez, great football coach at Etiwanda High School, rolling people up this year, 9-0. But he's even a better husband and father. So as I went into high school, I was fortunate enough to play at Diane High, which we had some great teams. My senior year, I was fortunate enough to have Dennis Paul, my high school coach, come aboard. He just won CIF at Walnut High, won it at 2 other schools. He's an outstanding coach, and man, he's my mentor. He's my father off the field. So I leave Oregon State, and then I get home, and my dad says, you better have a plan, call Dennis Paul. So I called Mr. Paul. I said, Coach, I need a place to play. And he gave me 4 schools to go travel and visit. Since we lived in Diane Bar, he threw out the Mount Sac, he threw out Citrus, and then the last 2 were Santa Ana and Cerritos. So I went to the first 2. It wasn't my thing, and when I met Don Stedden, that's where I wanted to play. I didn't call George Horton back. So, and again, congratulations to George Horton and Don Stedden for getting into the Coaches Hall of Fame. So, I got here to Santa Ana, and I think at that point we had about 7 Gonzalez's on the team. And no one knew me. I mean, I think I was the only guy traveling, I guess, south of the 91. So I had to earn my stripes, and I was able to come in as a pitcher. And I think one day, like Coach mentioned, we had a coach that allowed the pitchers to hit, and I was one of those guys, and I started getting my swing back, so they allowed me to hit, which was great. And so we had a great year that freshman year, but then sophomore year came, and we had a team that was loaded. Like, our team was stacked. Mike Gonzalez back in the back, phenomenal. We had Bobby Hamlin. We had a team that you could sprinkle out through the whole Big West, Pac-10 at the time, and Major League Baseball. They were all out and about. Everyone, it seemed like, had earned a scholarship. Our team was special because, one, we just loved being around each other, and we loved Santa Ana College. We didn't have social media at that point, and so all we thought about is winning the day, winning the inning, and we worked together as a whole because no one knew about stats, no one knew about scholarships. We just came to play with our friends, and that was something that I'll never forget, and I'll always cherish for my entire life. Just being around ball players having the same common goal, to go out and represent Don Baseball, and being proud of that after you leave Don Baseball to go out and about and play at different levels of sports. I was lucky enough to play with the myth, the legend, Bobby Hamlin, great guy. I did bats right behind him, so I did see a lot of great pitches coming my way, and so I want to thank him for that. Baseball is a game of discipline, sacrifice, and focus, and it really teaches you humility. And there were 3 coaches on the staff, Don Stedden, Don Popovich, Pop, and JB, John Bryant. Those are 3 guys that I'll never forget. They taught me how to be a great baseball player, but also taught me how to be a great person. And I'd be forever grateful. Johnny Bryan was our hitting coach. We called him Thinker. The guys, I don't see him here today. He's probably doing push-ups or planks or something. So he was one that could talk hitting with the best of them. So I always appreciated spending time with him, adjusting some of my swing. Then you had Pop back in the back there. He did the dirty work for Coach Stedden. He didn't want to do a lot of things, but it involved us. And I appreciate Pop for being so sarcastic, but knowing there's a little truth in what he says. He was the king of stealing signs, pitches. In fact, I was coaching at Diane High. He's there to recruit one of my kids. And it's the second inning. He comes by the gate and says, hey, I got him. Watch me. Arms crossed, curveball. Down fastball. So he was picking pitches for me even when he wasn't my coach. And he has a great memory. Man, if you want to talk baseball, he's the guy. And then last is Don Stedden. What can I say? The teacher of the game of baseball, the teacher of life. His guidance and his ability to connect with all his players is amazing. The job he did with our 88 team was lights out. It was the best team I've ever played on, hands down. We lost in the final of the state championship, but we were still a better team. But that's baseball for you. When I speak to my players and when I'm talking to students of mine, a lot of the words and the verbiage that I use is from my time here at Santa Ana College, and the way I treat people and this way I was being treated. So I do appreciate you guys. One last thing about Coach Sten, I think he was a field maintenance guy in his previous life, because it was always about the grass and how the grass was manicured. And I made it a point when I was at Diane Bar High that our grass was going to be the best in the league. And that's because of Don Stenton. You go out to my front yard in Eastville, it's on point. So the grass is legit. And then one last thing, I just want to thank my wife, my beautiful wife, who never saw me throw a ball or swing a bat. Never saw me play. You know, we met long after those days were gone, but I do want to acknowledge her as my rock, my encourager. She has made me a better man through my faith. She has made me a better man through my family. I'm thankful for you, and hopefully we'll have the season of life to spend down the road. Okay, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
You know what? I got the call in the summertime, and I thought, oh, that's cool. That's a nice little setup. But the closer I got to it, and just the gravity of the award, and the accomplishments we had here on campus, and to be honored, it's pretty overwhelming, to be quite honest with you. It's something that I didn't think it would ever happen. It wasn't that I was looking for it, but it really is an honor to represent, myself and my family, but also the Dons, as far as Santa Ana goes. But it's really an honor, and I'm humbled by it. Enjoy the process. Don't get too caught up on the highs and lows of it. Put your grind in the classroom just like you grind on the ball field. I think that's the most important. And with community college, which is a great thing about it, one, is cost efficient, and then it's an opportunity for you to grow academically like I did. I wasn't the best student coming out of high school, and I feel that Santa Ana College provided me some resources so I could be successful and kind of get those traits to be successful.
Congratulations, Rich, and thank you very much for that introduction, for Coach Sneddon, for all the introductions you made. Next introducer is one of the greatest athletes I think you'll ever meet. I mean, she's absolutely amazing, and she's going to be introducing a great inductee as well. She was a longtime softball coach here, and I just marvel at what she's accomplished in her career. Please welcome Coach Kim Nutter.
Congratulations, all of the inductees. What a great honor. I think we'd all agree, right? Being inducted into the Hall of Fame, probably the best honor an athlete can ever achieve. So, congratulations. Well, I have actually two great athletes and softball players up on the stage, Emily and Christina. But I'm here to talk about Christina Masri. Mccloskey, I believe, right? Okay. Christina Masri. Great athlete, great softball player. She could field, she could throw, she could hit. Small game. Christina, I think you even had a pitch, right? I think. Okay, let's don't talk about your ERA. We're not going to talk about that. Okay, amazing ball player. Like I said, she could do it all, and she did. But the one trait that I love the most about Christina Masri, and I will always remember this about her, is that she was the hardest worker. She was our hardest worker for both years that she was here at Santa Ana College. And we all know, if your best player isn't your hardest worker, it's not going to turn out well. I commend you, and I still feel to this day, I love you for that trait. And single-handedly, with her hard work, her athletic ability, we were able to win conference, win 2 rounds of regionals, and make it to the state tournament. Single-handedly because of this young, great athlete, Christina. Christina Masri went to Foothill High School, which is right down the street, right here on 17th Street. Run right into it. Multiple sport athlete. She played volleyball, softball, all league in both sports, of course. She was selected to the All-CIF team in softball, and she was also a CIF champion, which most of you realize that's pretty remarkable. So Christina obviously did a great job in high school, and we were lucky because she came to Santa Ana College. So Christina at Santa Ana College, she broke about every record that we had at the time. You name it, she broke it. I'm talking runs scored, batting average, RBIs, she broke them. Now imagine this. Her first year here, in the entire region, Christina had the 4th highest batting average. The 4th, as a freshman. Now, she comes back, her second year. What does she do? Because she works hard, she's passionate, she's a leader, she's gritty, she's got competitive fire. She ends up being the number 2 hitter overall. Number 2. With all the records that she broke, of course, she continues on, and she becomes the 2-time most valuable player for our softball program, makes Orange Empire Conference, all conference, both years, and then she becomes the Orange Empire Conference most valuable player. All right, and a lot of us, most of us, except for maybe one person, we pretty much all agree that the Orange Empire Conference is the strongest in the state, from north to south. So imagine, she's really, in my eyes, was probably the best athlete on the field. And we're talking about hundreds of players. So with that, she makes all conference, like I mentioned. Then she moves on, she makes all region, all state. She pretty much sweeps. What else is there to win, right? She wins it all. So for the sport of softball, there's one award that we give out to 14 players at the end of the season in June. Christina is one of those 14, and she's an All-American. And I'm going to get a little emotional because, Christina, I thank you because you were my first All-American at Santa Ana College. So thank you so much for that. So, Christina, I'm going to bring you, we're at the state tournament now, okay? We're at the state tournament. We're in our second game, and we're playing Long Beach City College. So the coach comes over, and she comes up to me, and she's like, Coach, guess what? Patty Gasso from the University of Oklahoma wants Christina Masri to come play for her. And if you guys don't know who Christina, we know who Christina Masri is, but if you don't know who Patty Gasso is from University of Oklahoma, you need to look her up, okay? Look her up, 4- or 5-time national champion. So now, as a student athlete, she does her part. She goes to class. She goes to and makes sure that she's eligible to move on to the next level. Not only to a Division I school, but in addition to the top program in the nation at University of Oklahoma. So she did everything right. She took care of business in the classroom like we hope they all do. Where I feel that might be a little bit more significant and maybe the most is that Christina, she's a wife and mother of 3 kids. Are they all teenagers right now? Okay, they're all teenagers. So we can imagine what she's going through. So, in addition to all of those things, she's also an elementary school teacher, a local teacher right here in Garden Grove School District. And I think it's important, and I want to take the time right now, Christina, to tell you thank you. I congratulate you on behalf of Santa Ana College, our softball program, your teammates, on everything that you gave to all of us. You made us so much better. So thank you at this time. This hall right behind me is very happy because now we can introduce, and she has a forever home in our Hall of Fame. So Christina Masri, congratulations.
for a coach like that. I'm like, her personality is just infectious. You want to play for somebody like you. By the way, I was talking to other people up here. This campus looks amazing. It looks so nice coming down Bristol. So it just looks really, really, really nice. Kind of going back before I got here, it might not be the right thing to say, but in my mind, my goal wasn't to come to a junior college. I thought I was leaving high school, and in my mind, I was headed D1 to play softball and volleyball, and that was my destiny, and that's where I thought I was headed. In high school, I have my high school coach right here, Joe Gonzalez, he's in his own Hall of Fame for coaching. So thank you so much for my whole high school experience. We were just talking earlier about my senior year. We had one CIF, we had done everything, and then my senior year, everybody had graduated because I was the young one, and so everybody had graduated, and I was very close my senior year to hanging up my glove and saying, I'm done. I just wasn't in a great emotional spot, and I thought, I'm going to go play volleyball. I'm going to put my glove down, I'm going to go play volleyball, and he just really stayed present with me and kept my glove on my hand, and it was just amazing. So thank you so much. Thank you. I do remember Kim coming out to one of our high school games and coming up and talking to me, and it's funny because we just had dinner. We haven't seen each other in so long. We just had dinner just a few weeks ago, and we were talking about this, and she said she came up and she was trying to recruit me and talk to me, and she goes, well, your eyes were down. You didn't seem very interested. She's like, but we kept talking, and I talked to your parents, and make a long story short, this was the best decision that I could have made. I spent too much time probably on the field and in the gymnasium playing volleyball and not so much on my academics. Coming here, this experience and being here and playing for the Dons and having such an amazing coach with those awesome pink shoes, by the way, it's fantastic, was just absolutely just amazing. And I do have a story, which I don't know if it makes me look good, this story either, but it's a story that I tell so many people. When I came here, I probably didn't make some of the best decisions, maybe not going to class. You come, you play, and when you're an athlete, you're focused on just being an athlete, and that's who you are, and sometimes you forget the classroom part. And I remember one day before practice, the dean of students called me in, and I was like, oh gosh, you're 18, you're sweating bullets, you're sitting in his chair, you're talking to the dean, and I was just asking, I don't remember his name, and I wish I could figure that out. But he brought me into his office, and he said, Christina, I've seen you play, you're an amazing athlete, like all these wonderful gifts, everything you want to hear. And he goes, but I feel like you're at a fork in the road. And he goes, I feel like if you go to the left, this is going to happen to you, A, B, and C. But I think if you go to the right and you go down this path, this is where you're going to end up, and the world's going to open up for you. And honestly, for somebody like that to come out to spend a couple minutes out of his day, he wasn't a family friend. He wasn't anybody I knew. To take time out of his day to sit me down and talk to me is amazing. And it's something that stuck with me, because after playing here and having all these wonderful things and all of these great people, getting recruited to the University of Oklahoma, which is a dream, like she said, it's a top program, so being out there is amazing. Things went great, and probably into the first 5-6 months, I threw my shoulder out, and I was pretty much done. I had to come home, head off, get surgery, reconstruct my shoulder, headed back, but when you're taken out from your spot of being an athlete, it's a little depressing, and it's really hard to kind of acclimate in what you need to do. And the foundation that I got here, once I got there and kind of turned my academics around, I even think I shocked the heck out of Patty Gasso when I made honor roll. She was shocked. But that all came from here. I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have made it. I probably wouldn't have made it. I probably wouldn't have made it academically, and I probably would have been home. So I was able to finish out there. I was able to come home, get my master's degree. I now teach 4th grade. So like I said, I'm used to teaching little guys. And I've been coaching for the last 22 years. So I just hope that I can give back to the kids what I have gotten from here at Santa Ana College. And thank you to my husband, because 22 years spending on the dirt as a wife and a mom of 3, I'm sure isn't always the favorite thing you want your wife to be doing, always gone. So thank you. And then my kids are in the back. I have 2 kids going off to play beach volleyball to LSU. I have a basketball player going off to college to play basketball. And my little home run hitter out here that just clocked one over the fence while I was getting ready for this speech up here. So thank you all, and thank you very much.
This award is just an amazing recognition. I can't put into words exactly what it means to me. It just, I'm just so honored and so excited that, the 2 years spent here before I left, that I have this to show for. So my advice to students is to take their academics just as seriously as their athleticism. Showing up for class, doing everything you can in the classroom, because no matter how good you are as an athlete, you need the academics and you need the classroom experience behind you to head off to that Division I college that most people aspire to go to.
It's amazing, the stories you hear. And Kim, it's quite an outfit. Now what? You got to match some shoes here. Okay. During our next introduction, you've seen him all over the place, because I'll tell you, we could not ask for a graduate of a college or any school to give back what Ken Purcell has given back through the years. It's amazing to me, as someone that's been involved with the school for a bunch of years as well, what he has accomplished. A lot of ideas that people have, he'll get wind of it and follow through. And as Don Sneddon had wanted this Hall of Fame, it was the guy that really spearheaded it and took on a lot of the battles, Ken Purcell. And he's making the introduction this time to one of his old teammates. Ken?
This guy I'm proud to introduce as a teammate, David White. I competed against him in high school. He was at Huntington Beach High, and I was at Orange, and I still am ticked at him because he beat us one game by 1 point, which cost us the Sunset League Championship. Thank God that Bob Boyd came down and from Alhambra High School and recruited a whole new class of freshman kids. And David and I were lucky enough to be included in that. First year we were 15 and 16, but learning. The second year we ended up getting about 4 new guys that were really outstanding and finished 26 and 7 and finished second at State Long Beach City College. And that was the first basketball championship here at Santa Ana in the 44th year. Think about that. It just shows you, and they've had, thank God for Dana Patch and his group, they won 2 state JC championships, but our team, we finished, I think, 8 or 9 in a row at the end of the season, beat Orange Coast and beat Chaffee, and in the Chaffee game, we didn't play too well the first half, and Elmer Burgesson, who was the trainer, told David at halftime, you better light it up, and David lit it up second half, and then we blew Chaffee away, but he was an all-Eastern Conference first-team player. He was an all-state player. When interesting deal with there, they select 5 people for their all-star team, and Ray Butler and him, 2 Santa Ana College guys, and only 1 Long Beach City guy, Dick Markowitz, was on that team. But it shows you how good we really were. And if Butler hadn't got hurt in the first half, had his finger going up for a rebound, had 13 stitches in it, and didn't play second half. So we always feel, have great pride in that team. And again, thank God for Bob Boyd to bring us all together. And his records, him and Ray reset all the records for basketball here at Santa Ana. And he scored, now this is before the three-point shot. He had about 3 or 4 30-point games. And if we'd had the three-point shot in that day, he'd have scored a lot more. But he was a shooter and a scorer, not just a shooter, but he could score. He had a great jump shot, quick as a cat. And I could go on and on with the records and all that, but I'm going to let him talk a little bit. He ended up, you know, it's funny how you look back, and I know all the stories you've heard here. How some kids come in, and I was one of them. You know, I was there to play basketball and baseball. And I'm sure David was over here to play basketball also. And then you see where they end up. And David ended up running 16 divisions for Kroger Markets. Now think about that. That's a lot of stores. And he just retired. They live out in the desert now, him and his wife Barbara. And he's got family here down here in the front row that I'm sure have helped him along the way too. He likes to brag about his tennis, and he's got a young lady down here that still plays tennis, and she's up there in years. And she plays 3 days a week still. And he says, I'll take her anywhere. So it's my pleasure now and a real great honor to introduce Dave White.
Cycling for 32 years, 100 milers, everywhere, wherever you want to go. It's a lot of miles. It goes to Rita Ensenada, blah, 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 and all that. And I got thinking about that, I'm sorry. And then I gave speeches before. Disneyland, a couple other places. But anyway, I want to really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank Ken and his staff for my induction into the Santa Ana College Basketball Hall of Fame. And I accept the honor with humility, dignity, and grace for him sticking with me the whole time, through it all, some great conversations. But the thing that got me the most was, you know, he went to Orange High School, where the lemons were. Yeah, that's what really, I thought about the same thing. Where are you anyway? Hell yes. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry again, yeah. But anyway, Ken kept sticking with me, making sure that I was going to be able to handle all this. And anyway, he actually, I'm pretty sure he did. He's the only guy that ever shut me out in a basketball game in high school. And I only scored I didn't score any points at all. It was a 0. And that's the first thing he told me when he was going to do all this for me. He reminded me of probably, well, it's the first time it ever happened to me. Hadn't been shut out before. I should have told him about the 80 points that I had in a game in Summer League, the 80 points. Hello, Mike. Anyway, 80 points in a Summer League game. I played against the Harlem Globetrotters, and the guy embarrassed me there too. Of course, the Globetrotters, we know what they were doing, entertaining and everything. This guy took the ball. I just popped in a long shot. He took the ball, come over there to me, pulled my jersey up, put the ball in there, and then expected me to try to get it out of there with a tight jersey. I needed help then, so none didn't come except we got a standing ovation when the game was over, and that was about it. Well, let's see, where else? I could go on and on and on. If Rosarita Ensenada, a bike ride, 13,000 people in the bike ride, and told us I was not an elite cyclist. The elite cyclists get out in front of the bike riding, and they're the ones that are out there really digging like steam shovels. So I said, well, this is not going to work, because we had 13,000 people that were in 13,000 that were in the race, and we were talking. Well, we got to get out, and we got to at least get second, which second was the second group, obviously, and people had a few many Patrons and a few many tequila sunrises all night long, and so. But it was fun after it was over, because we participated not in that. But anyway, the race started. We said we got to get up. We got to get up there as fast as we can. We got to be at least second, because drunks were going through the water things, and seriously, and sliding through there, trying to grab their waters. The waters are going through, grabbing it, slipping and falling, and pretty soon it was what, honey? Oh. Thanks. This is my number one daughter and number one supporter right here, and this is Fred. He's you're number two. I still don't, yeah, but she's number one. I still have to. Fred is still where he is, and Steve is number one, because he's by himself out there. But they're all great kids. They're all very successful. They're doing very well in their careers. What was that? And they all watch me. They want to follow me. Just tell them what. Following me around is pretty difficult to do, because if I'm not moving 100 miles an hour, it's probably at least 90 all the time, whether I'm lifting weights in the garage. As a matter of fact, I put in my home, and I got tired of all this cane stuff where I had to flip it up and around and do that. So I put the workout thing out in the garage. So I do all my weights out there now. I cycle out there. What else do I do out in the garage? Well, okay. And I want to thank my mom and dad. My mom and dad attended every game I ever played, and they were invited by my mom and dad attended every game I ever played in. I don't think they ever missed one. I'm pretty sure they didn't. They were there all the time for me, and my whole family that supported me through all of my life, my career. Born in the hills of West Virginia in a log cabin, and born in have you ever heard of the Hatfield-McCoy feud? That's very few people. We got to get educated. That's not good. Okay. Born to Edna Hatfield of the Hatfield-McCoy feud, and in a log cabin. I'm going to say it one more time. In Yolen, West Virginia, which is one of the greatest states in the Union, by the way. That's where I started. Jerry West was from there, though, too, Cabin Creek. And Jerry West. And you should see that. No, you really shouldn't, because I put in a, what we put, I'm over the 3-minute mark. Well, Ken said don't go over 20 minutes. I'm doing the, oh, Mom. Okay, I'm done. Now, Mom's talking. That's my life's choice, the motivator behind everything I've done. 58 years. 58 years. 58 years. 23. I call them grand and regular. 23 regular grandchildren, babies, grandpas. And she's going to, okay, and then also, who's the other one? That's enough. Thanks for being good listeners, seriously. Do me a big favor, shop for one of the Kroger companies, because I still got 100. I got to get to 119. That's my objective. nicest people I've ever known. He interviewed me when I was he interviewed me for television. Remember that? Yeah. Santa Ana Register, by the way.
Thank you very much and congratulations. And it's I'm glad we finally got you up here to accept this thing. It was funny. It was a Thanksgiving meal at his daughter and son-in-law's house, and I asked him. I said, "Would you consider being inducted into the Santa Ana College Athletic Hall of Fame?" I won't tell you the exact words he said, but basically it was, "Nah, that's in the past," kind of a thing. And Ken finally, as a teammate, got him, and I'm glad. So thank you very much for that. By the way, those of you that had a long journey to get to school, go down here to Flower and take a left. That's where he went. It would take him maybe 3 or 4 minutes to get here. So, the next presenter is, she was a great athlete, as well as she was a terrific coach when she was here at Santa Ana College. And then she moved over to El Camino College, and she is even a better coach. Please welcome Coach Jessica Raposo.
Bring this microphone down. There we go. Hi, everybody. Just go ahead and describe to everybody who's never seen her play the impact that one of the best athletes that to ever be coached by you. Go ahead and describe that. And I was like, I can do that. And he's like, by the way, you have 3 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do this in 3 minutes, but bear with me here. Okay, so statistically, her numbers are second to none. In 2 years at Santa Ana, she amassed an incredible 496 career batting average, with an even more astounding 597 on-base percentage. As if this wasn't threatening enough for defenses, M was able to steal 64 bases and score 100 runs, while also having power numbers with 35 extra base hits. You couldn't play her deep because she would bunt and then steal second and steal third, and you couldn't play her up close because she would just hit it over your head. She was unbelievable when she was a player here. She was rightfully named a 2-time All-American, helping her team to make it deep into the playoffs both years. Come on up here. Come on, get up here with me. Yeah, you'll have to bring the microphone up really high when you come. Okay, so where am I at? Let's see. So we might forget the stats as the years go by, but I can attest that no one will ever forget what it was like watching Emily play. Have you ever watched a movie or seen a video of the most powerful, beautiful, wild stallion, like running on a beach or running in an open field? Can you picture that in your mind? That's what it was like watching Emily play. The fearlessness and the freedom that she played with a mix of grace and power, was something that I have never seen before, and I'm sorry to say I will probably never see again. She was so powerful and graceful and played with such a free spirit. The way you play softball is the way I try to teach my players to play every single year. You are the goal, not just for your numbers and stats, but because of the way you are in the moment and just enjoyed the beauty of the game. Thank you for showing us all what it looked like to play fearless and free. No one deserves this honor more.
Thanks, Raposo. So Raposo and Nutter are ultimately the reasons why I chose Santa Ana College over Santiago. Just because they're high energy, and I have never played for anyone like them before. So thank you so much for having me here today. I'm extremely thankful for this honor. This means so much to me and my dad, more than you can know. I called him to tell him that I passed my national licensure for nursing, and he just went straight to, so how about that speech? But I may have not made the best academic decisions throughout my career here, but I do hold the best memories from the 2 years spent on this field versus time spent on any other field, and it's been quite a few. And it's all thanks to my inspiring teammates. A couple of them are here now coaching, Ross and Liz. The most supportive family, because no matter how far the game was away, I always had someone in the stands. And thank you to the most encouraging coaching staff that motivated and pushed me every single day. So, Don's roll. That's it.
I am incredibly honored. I didn't get to go to a D1 after playing here because of my grades, so just to be able to come back here and feel so accomplished by the two coaches that gave me the best experience ever, it feels amazing. Get good grades, go to class, do your homework, do your assignments, because it all matters. You know, talent does not matter if you don't have the grades.
Congratulations, Emily, and thank you very much, Coach. We appreciate very much that introduction of her. We're down to our finale, and I think that Keith Wyrick was very wise in getting a good friend of his to introduce him rather than get someone like Purcell or someone like that. So Daryl Suby will make the presentation for our final inductee into the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations. Great honor. I have 2 pages here, but rest assured, it's large font because I'm old. My name is Daryl Suby, and I want to introduce a man who is truly humbled by the honor bestowed on him by Santa Ana College. Keith Wyrick. He's a very subtle guy. Now, Keith and I, we spoke about this honor, and he only had appreciation and thanks to those who have helped him in his life's journey. There are so many, and I apologize if I forget some. But obviously his family, his parents, his brothers and sisters. But also, he mentioned his grandfather, Thomas Mon, who drove him to and attended all of his events when he was a kid. His 6th grade teacher, Elena Hermanson. Andy Shelby, who made Keith a catcher so he would be in on more plays. Junior Avila, who harnessed Keith's baseball skills. Tom Baldwin, Keith's Santa Ana High School football coach. And Arlen Pirtle, who recognized Keith's potential in golf and coached him. Now, while attending Santa Ana College, Keith received scholarships to UCLA for both football and golf. Who does that? Football and golf? Now, Keith was injured and unable to take advantage of his scholarships, but golf became his life for the past, I won't say how many years. How many people know about golf, play golf? So I know quite a few, so some of my terminology will be understood. So you know the many skills it takes to play golf. I play golf. In fact, that's how I met Keith. At least I thought I played golf until I played with Keith. He always hits it straight down the fairway, long. Can hit a little fade when he needs to, hit a little draw when he needs to. And if he gets in trouble, he's able to get out of trouble and get on the green in regulation. Do you know how frustrated you make me when I play golf with you? I mean, you make me feel inadequate. Now, he was 10 years playing the mini tours. 82 victories in 10 years. 82. Any PGA pro would love to have 82 victories. He held 2 course records. 2. How many here who play golf or otherwise have ever had a hole-in-one? Please, show of hands. Quite a few. His brothers, right? Quite a few. He has 29 holes in one. 29 aces. You make me sick. I don't have any. Now, he also called me earlier this year and told me he shot his age. Pretty impressive, right? 77? Oh, I'm sorry. 67. Now, for Santa Ana College, in the league championships, he shot a 66 and a 67. Same year, in the regional championships, whatever you call them, he shot a 65 and a 64. In the state all-stars, he shot a 66. In those 5 rounds of golf, he had 0 bogeys. That's amazing. Now, Keith is really so appreciative to all those that helped him. And he's kind of made it his life's mission to pay it forward in the best way he can. So Keith did so by using his golf skills, his relationships, and his connections to organize, sponsor, and run numerous charity golf tournaments benefiting many Orange County organizations. Everyone, I'd like to introduce Keith Wyrick.
Thank you very much. Sitting there in a relationship to what Daryl told you about me, I noticed that there were 2 people wearing white-based sport coats with print on them. The problem is they're both women. So I may have the wrong dress on, so I apologize. To any athlete and to all of you, what a tremendous deal to be up here and being recognized. And if you think I'm going to talk about golf, it's very boring. It really is. And my purpose tonight is to share with you in my 5 minutes all the wonderful people, whether it be Mark Willie or Ken Purcell, and the help that Cammie Lewis and Mary Hegarty helped me. If you want to see someone struggle on a computer, it's not like the way I play golf, I assure you. I have no idea. And I run a 300-acre golf development in Arizona, and I don't have a clue on other than sending an email. I want to introduce my family. Number 1, my mother is here, my 5 brothers and sisters. 5 of 6 of us went to Santa Ana College. And we're all alive, and there's 406 years contributed to those 6 children. I've got to get through this quick. Don't look at me like that, Lawrence. You want me to cry. Okay. My son Lawrence, he went here. He's now an LA City fireman, and I could not be more prouder of him. I was introduced to Lawrence when he was 3 years old. I love you. You keep me going, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you. Favorite word in the world, Dad. My brothers played golf here. Jerry, my brother, who I caught 2 no-hitters, speaking of being put at catcher by Mr. Andy Sheldy, he pitched 2 no-hitters as a 12-year-old in Little League and would go on to pitch here at Santa Ana College and be on a championship golf team. my other brother Tom, my oldest brother, I should say not my other brother Paul, you're still my brother, don't worry. My oldest brother Tom also played with me after going on a church mission and missed his eligibility his years, came back, and we were both played on the same championship college golf team. Ray, I told you I was going to bring you up. Ray Carrasco, I can't thank you enough for being such a model. Consummate professional. I don't know the year you won the senior masters over in Europe. You taught my younger brother Paul. See, I told you I was going to mention you, Paul. He actually taught my youngest brother Paul at Santa Ana High School Spanish. In fact, Ray said to him, "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" And he said, "Hi, Ray, how are you?" My sister Lynette, my sister's Mary. My sister Lynette was a concert soloist for the Glendale Symphony Orchestra under the direction of Carmen Dragon. Tina, your dad meant the world to me. This is Tina Baldwin, my football coach's daughter. Please stand up. For sure, other than any other man, I would not be here if it wasn't for her dad. Would not even want to think about where I would be. And Mrs. Hermanson, I hope I've done you proud. What an asshole I was. She is nodding. And as far as these men or the young women who said they weren't that good as students, they could have taught me chemistry. I have no idea about any of that stuff. I used to have a Braille student lead me to my class just to make sure I was eligible. Mark Willie, I appreciate your friendship. And once again, Ken, thank you. Cost me a lot of cheeseburgers to get up here and wear this sport coat. To my 4 children, here we go. Hold your breath. You are the life of me. Cassie, you are the most beautiful thing in this world. And I thank you for those twin granddaughters. And Cooper, I'm looking right at you, young man. Your dad, you listen to him. He's a wonderful father, and he loves you more than you'll ever know. And you stay with him, and you'll be all right. Okay? We got a deal? Thank you. Sean, thank you for loving my daughter. Rochelle, Sandy, Denise, Bobby, all of you. I hope I've done you proud. God, I hope so. And to Santa Ana College, I hope that you feel you did not waste your time on guiding me and allowing me to have all those amazing championships. And in closing, I want to talk about the El Salvador boys. I was a white boy who came from the Glendale Unified School District at 14 years old. I knew nothing about anything. I thought I knew about sports. I thought I knew about life. Oscar, Freddie, you guys, thank you for accepting me. I love being in your bouquet. I love being with colored flowers. I appreciate you showing me about the Latin race. And to Junior Avila, getting in the back of that Nissan pickup, Freddie, you corrected me. It was a Dodson pickup to let you know how old I was. It was an amazing time. And I appreciate you putting a lily in that bouquet of flowers. It was a beautiful bouquet, and I thank you. It was like playing with Roberto Clemente. He was my all-time absolute idol. And to play and share with you, Oscar, Freddie, all the times we spent playing ball, it didn't matter what color we were, didn't matter where we came from, we just loved each other, and we sweated, and we won, and we were champions. And I will never forget you, and you know that. Thank you so much. And to Santa Ana College, in closing, how could have God shed so much grace on one person? Thank you. Beyond any imaginative thing that would ever happen in my athletic career, to be honored by this property, the city of Santa Ana, the Golden City. I just appreciate everybody here at this college as I have. I've been here. I went to Willard Junior High, Santa Ana High School, and Santa Ana College, and I couldn't be prouder.
Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2021 Santa Ana College Athletic Hall of Fame. To wrap things up, as I mentioned earlier, if you'd like to get involved with this great college, do so. You can get a hold of the foundation office, and they'll give you all kinds of directions. Right now, what we'd like to do is have all of our honorees stand up here. You want them on this side or this side? This side over here, please. For the photos, if you'd like to get a group photo, do so now. And your loved one, as soon as they finish with the group photo, then you can get them individually. We have refreshments at the back, unless somebody has been getting all of them. Thank you very much. Congratulations to our newest members of the Athletic Hall of Fame.